Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Blog Talk Radio. This is Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. It is Monday morning, 5:30 a.m. Calgary, Alberta time, March 1st already, and I'm glad you could be here. I'm happy to be here, and we're going to continue on with our looking at this one article that I found. It's Understanding Child Maltreatment and Juvenile Delinquency: Foundations for Effective Responses. I got that off of www.cwla.org, and it's part 2. We already went through the first part, which was Understanding Child Maltreatment and Juvenile Delinquency, the research. Now we're going through part 2, Understanding Child Maltreatment and Juvenile Delinquency: Foundations for Effective Responses. And it's quite interesting, all the different studies that they've done to show what's working in actually helping to prevent youth from going on and becoming juvenile delinquents and doing violent crimes and whatnot. And there's programs in place that are actually making a difference, and they've done some studies. And I don't know, these studies are kind of old now, but it's just interesting to see the work that's been done over the years to sort of help prevent children, and youth from going into committing crimes later in life. And they did, note the link between child maltreatment and child abuse and juvenile delinquency. And they did say at the time that this report was done, they took a look at it, and it was about 21% more of a risk that a child would go on to do juvenile crimes and later on violent crimes if they were abused and maltreated. So 21%. I mean, that's a significant number really to me, and it's just nice to see that there's some programs that over the years that they've put into place that seem to be working. So that's what we were looking at, and we're on for 15 minutes this morning, and this is One Child Abuse Survivor Together, and this is not a professional show, and I'm not a professional counselor. I don't hold any professional certificates, and I'm just a person who studies child rights and human rights at MRU here in Calgary. I've been between courses, and I just thought, while I'm, in between courses and not doing anything, I stumbled across Blog Talk Radio, and I thought, yeah, why not? I'll do a show and get on and share some information that I find. And I'm also, continually searching and walking through my healing process from growing up in an abusive home, and it's been a long, hard haul. And just recently, I have really found my healing has come so far that I feel pretty good nowadays. But I know there's so many people out there suffering who just and it's no wonder, and having such a hard time. And I know as soon as I started reaching out to people started reaching out to me. It was like my hand went out, and then all of a sudden everybody else's hands came back and reached out to me. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing, because I had never done it before. I had never thought of going public with my story, and I really didn't think that I'd ever have the courage really to do it, because I didn't want to cause any more problems in the family that's already been done. And it was always this idea that, no, I'll just keep it inside and I won't say anything. And I think silence is the big problem. We're not talking enough. Society is not talking enough about abuse, and that's why it's allowed to continue. It's allowed to go on. The government doesn't see that there's, they know that what's going on, but because there's not a public outcry of people just saying it has to stop now. If every single citizen woke up, let's say next Monday, and every single person, adult person who could make a decision for themselves, who could get up in the morning and go and seek some answers and from the government to get something done about this, then things would change, because the government would realize, oh, hey, we got a whole population, the whole country, countrywide North America, let's just say the States and Canada, every single person woke up and showed up on our doorstep today, and they want something done. Well, obviously the abusers wouldn't be there, because they'd be at home abusing their children or their wives or husbands, but the rest of the population would be there, and something would have to be done. It's just terrible, because the long-term consequences of child abuse are horrible, absolutely horrific. If the child survives the actual abuse and doesn't end up getting killed and murdered by their parents or caregivers, or doesn't die from abuse related injuries in the hospital, right? They go on to live these lives that are just really sad, and if they're like me, thank God, they just hang on long enough to realize that there is help and hope, and that people do care, and you can find some trusting people to help support you along the way. But there's so many that don't find that help, like my brothers, they just couldn't seem to deal with any kind of, they couldn't get any help. They did try. I know one of them tried, and some siblings of mine tried to help them too, and they just couldn't do it. So they ended their lives. One committed suicide, and the other one died of a drug overdose. And that's just two people out of how many out there who have suffered in an abusive home and grown up and gone on to really just end their lives. And that's the road I was headed on for so many years. So that's why I think it's so important that we talk about this stuff. And so, if you're a young person, this show covers a lot of abuse information, topics related to abuse, child abuse, and domestic violence. So I ask that you have someone to listen to the show with you. And if you think it could trigger you, if you're an adult survivor suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder or whatever, anxiety issues, any kind of thing like that, you want to make sure that you're in an okay place to listen to this, and that you're okay far enough along in your healing to listen to my shows, because I don't want anybody to be triggered, and we all know this can happen. So just make sure that you're okay with the topic, and if it bothers you, please turn it off, because topics of abuse are very sensitive. And so I just want to make sure everybody knows you wouldn't be hurting my feelings by turning off the show. So I'm just interested in this research done regarding child maltreatment and juvenile delinquency, because my brothers were always, not all of them, but quite a few of them were in trouble with the law from a very early age, and were doing drugs, and they did time in prison. A couple of them went to jail. One of them actually avoided, I think he didn't end up in jail or anything, but he was a cocaine addict, and that he's the one who killed himself. And even myself, I avoided the law for sure, because I didn't want to get in trouble because of the abuse that I would suffer at home. I knew I didn't have to do anything wrong to get to be beaten and abused at home, so I certainly didn't want to get in trouble with the law and show up on the doorstep and then have the cops leave me there with my mom, because I knew the situation wouldn't be good. So I avoided that. So I just was very good at not getting caught. And it doesn't mean I wasn't out doing anything. I was very good at not getting caught. And so that's just the issue. My mom would say stuff like that. She'd say, well, I don't care what you're doing out there, but as long as you don't get caught, because she knew that we were all, what we were doing. She didn't try to get any help for us, And so it's really sad that this happens to people, and I know it does. It happened in my family, and it happens to lots of people. And the people have a tendency to think, oh, look at those kids, what's the matter with them? Why can't they straighten up? And look at what they're doing, and it's just so sad, because a lot of people, they don't take the time to think about what kind of a home life that child has had or that youth has had, and they don't take the time to stop and think what would cause someone to do something like that they do, to do the things that they do. There's always an underlying issue and a reason for it. It's either a mental health issue or it's an emotional issue, or maybe they were taught that at home, or they learned it from someone in their home. So this is the real issue. It's not, kids don't start out to do bad things. And they don't start out with hate in their heart, and they don't start out hating life. They're taught that. I know I was taught that. I was taught to hate life, and my parents were very hateful towards each other and their children. And my mom had a real good habit of telling me that she hated me. So, I developed a hatred for life myself. And kids don't start out that way. So something's wrong in society, and people really have to start taking a look around and see that it's a real problem. And it's all of our problem, because the cost that it incurs, the public pays for it. We all pay for it in taxes and whatnot. But not only that, these are kids' lives that are at stake, and these are children that, if you could if you could intervene early enough, right, the problems wouldn't be there. Excuse me, my voice is pretty bad this morning, but so early. Early intervention and prevention of delinquency, that's where we wanted to start here today. And we've only got a few minutes left. We'll continue on tomorrow, too. A number of early intervention programs have been shown to reduce criminality. These programs target the factors known to put children at risk of future delinquency, factors that also put families and children at risk for other poor outcomes. A 1998 RAND research brief focuses specifically on early childhood interventions and their benefits, costs, and savings. These interventions include programs targeted to children or mothers, those aimed at improving health or educational achievement, and those providing services such as parent skills training, child health screening, child abuse recognition, and social services referral. RAND summarizes findings from 9 programs, each of which had control groups, and the effects of these selected early intervention programs on participating children relative to those in the control group showed. So they have like a little chart here that you can go onto the website and find that. That's www.cwla.org, and you can see that they've got some charts and different things. They said, these are the relative to those in the control group, showed gains in emotional or cognitive development for the child, typically in the short run, or improved parent-child relationships, improvements in educational process and outcomes for the child, increased economic self-sufficiency, initially for the parent and later for the child, through greater labor force participation, higher income and lower welfare usage, and then a reduced level of criminal activity, improvements in health-related indicators such as child abuse, maternal reproductive health, and maternal substance abuse. So they said here the Perry preschool program, as well a well-known example of the early intervention programs, illustrates this link between early childhood intervention and adult success, including reduced criminalities. Studies of this program examined the lives of 123 African Americans who were born in poverty and at high risk for academic failure. When the participants were ages 3 and 4, they were randomly divided into 2 groups, and one group received a high-quality active learning preschool program in which teachers made weekly home visits and met with parents in monthly meetings. The control group of students received the other control group of students received no preschool program. It says follow-up at age 19 showed that children who attended the preschool had lower rates of placement in special education classes, scored significantly higher on measures of academic achievement and literacy, attained better high school graduation rates, and had lower rates of welfare assistance than those in the control group. So yeah, just by the teachers, just by starting the kids out in one group out into a preschool program where the teachers made weekly visits to the home, met with the parents in monthly meetings and stuff, those children grew up, and then at the age of 19 they showed that they had lower rates of placement in special ed courses, scored higher on their academic tests and achievement and literacy. They attained better high school graduation rates and all that, so that's great. Interviews with 95% of the original study participants at age 27, along with examination of school, social services, and arrest records, indicated that those who participated in the school program had half as many criminal arrests, higher earnings and property wealth, and greater commitment to marriage. So yeah, it should be, that's awesome, just by having that support when they were young. It should be noted that many of the characteristics of child abuse prevention programs are shared with programs deemed valuable in the prevention of delinquency. There is the recognition that programs need to address the entire context of the family's and child's functioning, absolutely. And it says as in-home visitation programs, and that single-focus prevention approaches are limited in effectiveness. It's quite interesting. So yeah, we'll finish this article up tomorrow, same time, 5:30 in the morning, and it's really quite interesting to see the research that they did. And yeah, I just hope that you just have, just reach out and keep that hope alive. And if I can help you find any resources or anything, let me know. Just send me a message on Blog Talk Radio. I'm the Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, and I am so happy to stand with them and do what I can. Volunteer role that I've been graciously given, and if I can do anything to help you find information or resources, let me know. They have a great website at www.dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com, and you can go on there and find all kinds of information regarding child abuse, all the signs and symptoms, how to report it, what to look for. Parents with problems, maybe you're thinking you might be abusing your child, and you know, or you are, and you want to stop. There's all kinds of information there for parenting, and ways to get help for parents and for children and for adult survivors. So it's a great website, and I highly recommend it to everyone. That's how I ran across them. I stumbled across their website, and I really experienced some real healing there, and I just love it. And yeah, so if I can do anything for you, let me know. If I can help you with any resources or information, that would be my thing, because I'm always searching and looking for information myself. And so I hope you have a great day, and just keep reaching out. That's what all I can say. Keep reaching out, and you will find the help that you need. And everyone deserves a good life. We do count, we do matter, and just remember that we have to love ourselves, and we have to really, if we want to have a good life, we have to find it ourselves. We can't leave it up to somebody else. We have to actually actively and proactively seek that good life for ourselves. So just keep hanging in there, and just keep that hope alive. And I hope to see you again. So have a great day, everybody. Bye bye.